The way to fix radio today, truly fix it, is to try and kill it. There's been a lot of talk lately about new music and how maybe bad it is and why young people are leaving the medium of radio, less and less are listening, and how radio, the radio industry itself, the major corporations, they've sort of given up on it, and it's become an older person's medium. So I want to go down that path a little bit today. Do you know who Charlie Munger is? He's a 91-year-old partner of Warren Buffett in Berkshire Hathaway. Buffett calls Charlie the smart one. Let me show you a small clip of what Charlie attributes to his insane success in business.
There are all kinds of tricks that I just got into by accident in life. One, I invert all the time. And when I was a weather forecaster when I was in the Air Corps. And how did I handle my new assignment? Being a weather forecaster in the Air Corps is a lot like being a doctor that reads x-rays. It's a pretty solitary. You're in the hangar in the middle of the night and drawing weather maps and you're clearing pilots, but you're not interfacing with a bunch of your fellow men very much. And so I figured out the minute I was actually making weather forecasts for real pilots, I said, how can I kill these pilots? Now that's not the question that most people would ask. But I want to know what the easiest way to kill them would be so I could avoid it. And so I thought it through in reverse that way. And I finally figured out, I said, there are only two ways I'm ever going to, I was in the ferry command, there are only two ways I'm going to kill a pilot. He said, I'm going to get him to icing his plane can't handle, and that will kill him. Or I'm going to get him someplace where he's going to run out of gas before he can land because all the airports are sucked in. And I just was fanatic about avoiding those two hazards.
What I'm hearing you say is that you, as a discipline, look at what the risk is on the other side of the situation and you avoid that. That's one of the rules, right?
Well, it's just that it's like a lot of practical problems in algebra. If you invert, you can solve it easily. If you don't, you can't solve it easily.
Exactly right.
And so approaching it in reverse that way, I got better results.
You look at the vulnerabilities.
Now let me take you on a journey. Picture yourself programming a successful CHR radio station in a medium to large market like Louisville or Des Moines or Sarasota. When all of a sudden, a typically bad competitor with a good signal, though, flips format into CHR directly against you. What'll run through your mind? Well, you're pretty local. You have a good morning show. You've been there for years. You have the cume. But your share of the total pie, like I mentioned, is dwindling and young people are leaving little by little. A few days later, you find out that your new competitor has hired 3 music directors. All they do is look for great new music coming from anywhere. Online, record companies, YouTube, doesn't matter. 3 of them. Then you hear they've hired 8 great jocks, doing 3-hour shifts, no less. No voice tracking, 100% live all the time. How do you feel now? Well, you're likely thinking they're nuts because they'll be broke before they ever catch us. Stupid owner, who would think to do that? And then they get on the air, and every few days they actually have major recording artists on the air with their jocks on afternoon and morning drive. People like Ed Sheeran, Post Malone, Kanye, Olivia Rodrigo, Ariana Grande, The Weeknd, Bieber, Drake, Doja Cat, Harry Styles, BTS, and the list goes on and on. It goes on week after week. The artists are having fun playing DJ. They're talking to the DJs about great new songs that they've discovered or listening to, and the jocks are doing the same back to them. And that's just scratching the surface of what they do and can do. Do you think that you'd get maybe a sense that their cume would be rising? Would they worry you? Do you think that the overall audience share of their listeners might be going up? Would you not want to compete with them? That's not a pretty scenario, is it? And to get it, all I did was reverse thinking and ask 2 questions. One, if Google owned 200 radio stations in 70 markets, what would they do with them? How would they think? If I was Google and wanted to kill normal radio, What would I do with my radio stations? Now, certainly I'm not Google and I don't profess to know exactly how they think, but you can make some pretty good close guesses. They're used to having one giant product, not hundreds. There's only one Google search engine, not hundreds. There's only one YouTube, one Google Maps, and so on. They dominate the internet, and on the internet you can have zillions of anything, yet they don't. They make one. I would think that they would lean into what they know works, and what they're used to. One great product. Well, what's that do? Likely one amazing CHR formatted radio station that's racked out live 24/7 across 70 markets. Now there's major economies of scale. From there on, you can hire 3 MDs, you could hire 10 MDs. Doesn't really matter. And they just hunt down new music. You can hire the best talent money can buy. You can cajole major artists to be on your radio station and dramatically raise the entertainment value of your station and word of mouth level of your station to young people. If you make it easy and fun for them, more than likely the artists will be coming to you to be on the radio. Or at least their publicists will. Or you can go to them and make it even easier. You've just built a major internet platform, or in more traditional terms, a full-on television network. But it's on radio. All that's left is leaving holes for commercials, which now you can have less of, and 1 or 2 local news people. Probably you could even get away with less than that. So how would you compete against that? Do you really think what little bit of local that you're going to have is going to make any difference at all up against that? How long before they're catching up to you? How long before they pass you? Imagine something like that for every major type of format in those 70 markets. Now imagine you're that company and you're licensing some of those formats to markets that you're not actually in. Do you think there'd be any buyers? I would think that's how you kill radio today. But it's just a guess. I am definitely no future wizard. On the other hand, if you get really nervous as I described all that, perhaps there's an answer in there. And certainly everything I described could be done today by regular radio companies. As a matter of fact, it was mostly done by radio companies 35 years ago by Bill Moyes of the Research Group and a company that he had called Transtar. Or in today's terms, it'd be Sirius XM, only with a different delivery system. So again, thinking like Charlie Munger, how do you fix radio today? Try to kill it. Perhaps even a better idea is, how do you kill what I just described? Because down the road, we're all probably going to have to. See you on the next lesson. See ya!